There's an element, and this is like a key to like a very addictive hobby, right? There's an element of like consumerism that is very fun. That is like present in computer PC building. It's present in mechanical keyboards. It's present in music gear, obviously. It's present in, what else would fall under this? It's present in AR-15s. If you are super into guns and AR-15s, you have this exact, I'm sorry to say, if you're into building PCs, you are much more closer to getting like gun AR brain rot than you actually think you are. At least I was surprised to find that out, because at some point in my life, I fell into gun YouTube. No intention of ever owning a gun.
Are you as excited?
But the way that some of these people talk about their AR-15s, they talk about it like it's their computer. It's great. Like they almost the exact same like YouTube accent, unboxing video shit. Like it's the same as tech YouTube. It's nuts. No, I don't 3D print any of that. You love to make music. You haven't looked hard enough. You should do it. It's really, I admit it is really hard to figure out where to start, but I can give you some tips. So you need, a word you'll see a lot is DAW, Digital Audio Workstation, which is basically the software to like put it all together, right? That's what I'm using. I'm using Ableton. That's one. FL Studio is the next most popular one, or it's probably the most popular one actually. So the benefit of using these two is there are a lot of tutorials. And then there's Reaper, which is the cheaper out of all the options unless you procure these for free in some way. Reaper is only $60 if you want to buy the license to like unlock it forever, and the other ones are a couple hundred. They all come with like a ton of instruments. Oh, and if you're on a Mac, I actually would recommend checking out the Apple version, which is called Logic Pro. It's made by Apple. GarageBand is also really good too. Is actually surprisingly good. So any one of those are excellent. My second, if you are actually serious about it, my second piece of advice would be focus on exactly one genre at the start. Like give yourself a month to be like, I'm just going to learn this one genre for the entire month, and just focus on that one genre. And what that will help with is like to help you focus on exactly the sounds you need. I know this sounds like obvious, but if you have the brain rot that I do, and I think you do have the brain rot that I do. If you're in this chat, you have the brain rot. If you have the brain rot on I do, you want to learn everything about everything. And so you're like, oh, what if I optimize this reverb or this compressor or whatever? That doesn't matter more than picking the right sound. I know that sounds easy, but it actually kind of isn't. Like picking the right sound is a lot of the work. And it's a lot of the work that I think is very underrated. Is that brain rot? Yeah, it is. I'm sorry. It's terminal. There's LMMs. What do you mean? Tweaking sounds to get the sound you want, your favorite part. Yeah, I mean, do what is the most fun for you. That's the most important part. But okay, I mean, all advice that I give is advice I would give to myself in the past. So obviously I could be completely wrong because you're not me, right? But for me, the thing that really like was like a moment that I'm like, wow, I've been doing this all wrong, was when I realized I needed to focus on finding the right sound, which is like most of the sounds can be found through presets or like samples. And that made me listen to music in a way that was like, how did they achieve this sound? And the next part of that was finding out, okay, if it's an older song, like in the 90s or 2000s, they're not like making the sound from scratch. They probably got it from a company or like a synth or something that a preset. And so that is a fun, to me, that's a fun discovery process, because you like kind of go down this rabbit hole of like why things sound the way they are, because like these companies made these presets and these artists just use them, and then like that's fine. But then that helps like guide your way to the right thing. What do you think about Mac DeMarco's 9-hour album that's filled with garbage and fun to make music? I think it's goals. I mean, I think he's probably the only person who could release something like that. But I'm sure anyone who is like somewhat takes it like their musical career professionally, like they make an income off it, probably has just as much music. They just don't release it in a 9-hour album because like no one would listen to it in the same way people would listen to Mac DeMarco's 9-hour album because that's his brand, etc. Yeah, you should do it. Dronzy, you should absolutely do it. It's really fun. And I don't mind if you ask in the Discord or something. We have a lot of freaks there that would help. Rig rundown, guitar, pedal boards. Yeah. I mean, that's the other brain rot you could go into, which is like real instruments. Real instruments are fun. They're expensive and they're hard to learn, but they're fun. They're very fulfilling to learn, but they are pricey for sure. They are like building a computer actually. So yeah. Think about it this way. If you had building a computer money, would you rather put it into like the software to make music? Which in my opinion, if you're optimizing purely on like value and like amount of shit you can do per dollar, then like it's like no question software. But if you value like I want to play a real instrument, then yeah, that's like another thing for sure. Guitar pedals still fall into certain categories of effects that you can try to recreate digitally. True, yeah. Okay, pedals are fun, but also, I mean, I have pedals, but you know, I also have them, and I'm also like, wow, I definitely know of a stock plugin that does this, but it's more fun if it's real, for sure. How they use those effects to get their sounds important. Yeah, studying the history of the hardware I found really important for me, because then I want to then I get the sound that I want in the software, right? Like, and I think everybody like I've had preconceived notions around the whole music making process they make absolutely no sense, but I think everyone has a version of this in their head. They have something that they perceive how things are made, and it doesn't make any sense. For me, for a while, it was each track, like each thing here, I tried to make it a different instrument. Like, of course, like maybe I have 2 serums, or like maybe I have 3 serums or something, or 2 things. But for some reason, for a while, I always noticed it ended up being very diverse. And only, not recently, but like at some point I thought, wait, why am I doing that? Because people, let's say in the 90s or the 2000s, for like the style I wanted to make back then, they only had like, unless they were completely loaded with cash, they only had like one of these. And they had to like use the sounds on one of these. And that's it. And that's like kind of all you need in some cases. So that, I mean, like in that sense, limitations were really helpful. Because it like, yeah, you can do anything on the computer, which is kind of scary. Okay, I'm going to keep making this. Yeah, making music is fun.